So, I just want to tell you guys how there really are no mistakes or no coincidences in the universe. So, I'm going to do an eclipse video, and I actually recorded an eclipse birthday video just to let you guys know how my eclipse birthday was. But I didn't post it. It was kind of a really quick thing, and I was like, okay, I'm not sure if I want to post it. And I'm glad I didn't post it because I have additional things to say, especially with the Capricorn full moon eclipse that's actually occurring tonight. It's the 16th when I'm recording this. But it's funny, I have Capricorn on my 7th house. I'm a Cancer rising. So the solar eclipse was on my birthday, and this Capricorn full moon eclipse is happening in my 7th house. And I really got an idea and just evidence of the synchronicity of the universe today. And these are really small things. And I'll tell my eclipse story in maybe my next upload to my channel. I think this is just going to be a little community post tidbit. But just to show the synchronicity of the worlds, I was listening to public radio in my car. This will be a part of my eclipse video, but a part of this is I'm going through a very, 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 very terrible back injury. So how's that for the solar eclipse in my first house? This kind of was triggered or happened. I already had back issues, but this was kind of triggered by a fall that I had on the 1st, which was the day before the eclipse. And, I had been doing my chart reading. I had been looking at things. I even had an astrology teacher take a look at my chart. And I had already known that Mars was at the 29th degree on the 1st. And I was going out of town on vacation. And I'm going to make a long story short, not a long story long, because again, I'm going to do a separate eclipse birthday video. But it just leads into what I was about to say, which leads into what I was about to say. So I was going out of town and I had a bad fall, and this was on the 1st. And I had been already praying to the universe, please don't let me have any accidents or whatever. And I'm thankful I did not have a car accident. More to come on that, because I have something, it's not funny at all, but something to say about cars and accidents. Because I had a rental car and everything like that, going out of town to the beach where cancers love to be, or at least this Cancer. I'm all water. Anyway, so I think that fall on the 1st, right, in the eclipse zone, in the heavy eclipse zone, you might as well call it the damn eclipse, triggered a really, really bad back issue. So, as I am off of work and I'm trying to tend to this back issue, being basically bedridden, barely able to get around, I was listening to public radio. I think the station is 88.1. I'm here in Maryland. And there was an author on there, and he was speaking of a book he wrote. And the public radio stations, they have some really, really interesting things on there. And they talk a lot about news and the politics. And I'm not a big voter or anything like that, but I still like to be aware of what's going on, so I could keep a foot on people's neck about why I don't participate in that kind of debauchery we call voting. So there was an author in there, and he was talking about a book he wrote, and it was about a reform school in Florida, a reform school in Florida for boys. And the reform school was notorious. It ended up being shut down. It was notorious just for the abuse, physical and sexual abuse against the boys who went to that school. And at that time, I believe this was in the early 1900s. And at that time, you could end up in that school if you ran away from home for truancy, truancy, which means you weren't going to school, or you may have been misbehaving. So little boys were ending up at this school. And I mean, these are things that happen to kids all the time and things that kids go through. But back then they were ending up at this reformatory school. And there are even dozens of, there was an official gravesite on the school's property, but then there were dozens of unmarked graves found once they had gone to like excavate or dig up those graves and things like that, or just dig up the property. So they were trying, there's an effort to, and I haven't read the book yet, that's kind of what I'm getting to about the synchronicity of the universe and the blessings of the universe. I haven't read the book yet, but, it's a project underway to see if they can identify, those unmarked graves and things of that nature, boys and kids who died at this reformatory school and had gone through all kind of trauma and abuse. So I heard that today, and the whole time I was listening to the program on public radio, I was thinking to myself, okay, I've got to remember this title. Like I said, I'm having a back issue, so I wasn't really able to get to my phone and jot down the name of the book or write down the name of the book in my trusty, dusty notepad I carry with me. So I just kept saying to myself, the nickel boys, that should be pretty easy to remember. Nickel is change. It's a common word that we use. I should be able to remember that book. And I had in my mind to go into my Overdrive account. I don't know if you guys have it. I mean, I guess they use it in other states, but here with the Maryland Public Libraries and the county libraries where I am, they have a lot of their audio titles on Overdrive. And it's an app that you can download from the App Store. And for the past 10 or so years, 15 years, I've been listening to books from the library on Overdrive. So a lot of times I'll either go to Barnes and Nobles or go to a bookstore or order a book on Amazon, and I'll read hard copies of books. But the other 50% of the time I will, guys, I have to change my position. My back's really hurting. I'll go and I'll listen to the books on Overdrive because it's really convenient. It's free because these are copies. It's really convenient. It's free because these are copies that your local library makes available on audio form and audio files. But I hadn't listened to Overdrive in quite some time. It seems with the advent of YouTube and things of that nature, I hadn't been listening to my books on tape, my recorded books, my audible books, as much as I had been doing in the past. So I must have been, but I do go in there. I mean, I have listened to books. I was listening to The Odyssey a few months ago, maybe like 6 months ago, 3 months ago, something like that. I don't recall. And I had been listening to some other books like 3 months ago. So every now and again, even if I don't finish listening to the books, because a lot of the books, I mean, of course, there's many, many books I haven't heard, but there's a lot of books that I have heard. So a lot of times I'll go in there, pick new groups of books, because sometimes you may get on a wait list or a hold list or something like that. So a lot of times I'll pick books and I'll put myself on, if it's a wait list, a lot of times really there's only so many audible copies that's available. So a lot of times there'll be a wait list for really anticipated books or good books. So I'll put myself, I'll check out some titles that are available and I'll put myself on a waiting list for other titles that I'm really excited about. So and when you do that, it's connected to your email account. So they'll send you, Overdrive will send you an email when your books become available for you to download and for you to listen to. So I was just going through my email, which I pretty much check on a daily basis, but I've kind of been down and out. So I haven't checked them as much over the last couple of days, but I still check them pretty much at least once a day. And I was checking, some of the audio titles, some emails, I think like 2 emails, and I only thought it was 1 email, but 2 emails had come through that said, hey, your audiobook is out now. And if you don't go into your account and physically check it out, it'll automatically, if you have your account set on automatic checkout, it'll automatically check the book out to you. So it had automatically checked the title out to me. And I was reading one email and I saw the name of the book. I don't recall what it is right now. And I mean, this is literally just 5 minutes ago that I did this. The program I was listening to on the Nickel Boys, that was earlier today. I want to say maybe around somewhere between 2 and 4 p.m. And I don't even listen to 88.1 every single day because most of it's talk. I'm toggle between music stations and then talk stations. So that was done. That was it. It was in the back of my mind to go check, and see if I could find if the Nickel Boys was in the library, because I would do the free copy first. And if it wasn't, then it would be a book I would contemplate buying if I really wanted to read it, or going and getting it from the library if they had it to check it out, because not all books are audible or are recorded books. So I checked the one email and it told me a book was available and had been automatically checked out to me. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm laying here with the back injury. Maybe I'll go and listen to that book. So I happened to come out and be scrolling my email, and I saw another email saying, your book was checked out to you. And I went into the email, guys, and the book was the Nickel Boys. Who would have known? And again, this was a reformatory in Florida. I'm wondering if the author of the book, I'm going to go look right now. I thought his name was Colin something. I'm wondering if the author of the book is from Maryland. His name is Colson Whitehead, and it's the Nickel Boys, Colson Whitehead. I'm wondering if he's from Maryland in any way, because it's just funny to me. I had that booked. I had no idea. Like I told you, it's been about 3 months, at least 2 or 3 months since I've been into my Overdrive account. And the last time I was in here, I just must have checked a whole bunch of books and got on the waiting list. And now they're checked out to me. I've got a book that's checked out to me called One Night in Georgia by Celeste O. Norfleet. I had the Nickel Boys that I was on hold for. And then I had The Travelers by Regina Porter. So, the One Night in Georgia and the Nickel Boys are the ones that were just checked out. The Travelers must have been checked out to me a while ago, and I missed the email because I only have 2 days and 18 hours to listen to that one again, and I can't automatically check it out again if other people are on the wait list. So it was just really crazy to me that I had no recollection of getting on the wait list or signing up to check out the Nickel Boys when I was in Overdrive. It had to be months. I mean, I'm talking at least 2 months ago, that at least a month, because I could have been like 10th on the waiting list or 5th on the waiting list. And people have about 21 days to check out a book, and you can auto renew, but it won't auto renew for you if other people on the waiting list. So if people have 21 days to read it and there are only so many copies, I was probably on a waiting list for at least 2 or 3 months. I had no recollection that I had that book on, that I checked out that book, and then I heard it on the radio today, and I was making a point because the story just sounded so tragic and sad, but interesting, and just goes to show the nature of this world. And right now, with the eclipses that we're going through, and this full moon one being in Capricorn on my 7th house, which is a lot about relationships, and the 7th house is a lot about how you relate to others in this world, no matter what sign you have there. I'm just using myself as an example, because these 2 eclipses that have occurred in July, my birthday eclipse and then my opposite sign Capricorn, the full moon eclipse, have been a pretty big deal for me, just to advance my life. And the things that I'm going through with my back is just putting me on a path to really make some complete changes in my life. I've always been 1 foot in and 1 foot out of like really healthy and really not healthy, of gaining weight and then losing weight, but it's really pushed me to really take my health super, super serious and consider if you want to grow old, and, and I make a lot of jokes about going through, I'm in my 30s, I'm over 35. I make a lot of jokes about going through midlife crisis and getting older, and the 30s are so old. But if you really want to be blessed to have life and not just be here to grow older, but actually enjoy and have a good quality of your life, you have to take care of your body, because it's the only body that you have. So these eclipses have brought major energetic shifts for me personally in the first house, which was my birthday eclipse, and then in the 7th house when it comes to relationships with other people. Having really good people that are there for you, and really good people who love you, and then really good people who are friends who love you, and just having really good people in your life, and the value of being able to count on people who sort of love you unconditionally. Although I know that's not really a thing in this day and time, to love somebody unconditionally, through their bad times and through their good times, because we all go through them. So it just, the synchronicity of the world, and then the relating of this book more in a way of how we as people treat people, which is the relationships between people, which falls into this house in my chart where we are currently having this full moon eclipse in Capricorn. It's just in the business of things. Like I talked about, this is a reformatory type of school. So this is a structure, a very Saturn-like institution. It's an institution, a government within itself, if you will. You can call it. So guys, I just want to wish everybody out there the best. With Mercury being in retrograde, Mars in Leo, I know that things might be a little testy right now. People may be testing you. You may be getting in arguments with people, and tempers may be flaring. But guys, don't let anybody bring you out of your character. This is and this is also what I wanted to mention when they say, the veils are thing going through these eclipses. They really are, because they make it easier, and they bring you closer to tapping into the one consciousness, the consciousness of within. And, it's just really a time to go within and not give a lot of your energy without putting it outside of yourself with this Mercury in retrograde. You may be getting into squabbles with friends and family. Cancer and Capricorn represent the mother and father. And even if you're studying Vedic astrology and you say, okay, well, these eclipses are in Sagittarius and Gemini is still, those are signs. Gemini number 1 is still about communication. Its ruler is currently in retrograde. So Gemini is communication. It is communication between people. It is data. It is friendship networks. It is knowing a wide variety of people. It is knowing everything and mastering none. It is the short distance and the connections that you make in your local community. Gemini is those things. And Sagittarius is that far-fetched, that wide anchored perspective, that higher spiritual calling, that inner knowing, that sense of wisdom, that sense of finding your source of freedom, breaking a way to a freedom, and freedom through intellectual pursuits and spiritual pursuits is the freedom, is the far-fetched and long-reaching freedom that Sagittarius offers. It's a connecting between the spiritual and the physical. So you can see how the themes tie in, whether we're speaking of Vedic astrology or Western astrology. So guys, I just wish everybody the best. If you have any experiences, please comment. I'm going to put this on my community board. I'm going to make an effort, as I always say, to post more often, guys. I really want to interact with you all out there and try to raise the elevation of the planet, because we really, really need it. I've never seen days and times where we are in such a hellstorm, such a shithole of a place. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. I wish you the best. Happy Capricorn full moon eclipse. Bye.